This is Jim Nailon, liturgical guitarist. I'm going to share my arrangement of the old hymn, I Surrender All. I'll play through it first and then we'll go through it and talk about it. That's one of my earlier arrangements, and I did it in 2005, but last night I was looking over it. I don't usually play it because it was a little tricky up in measure 9 and measure 14, and so it was hard to get a good legato, and I looked at my fingering and thought, I can do better than that. And after I refingered it, it's rather easy to play by comparison. So, and then I changed a few notes in measure 14 also to make it better. So if you have an earlier version of this, the earlier version before today, I just redid it today, October 3rd, 2019, then you'll want to go in and reprint it and follow along here on this video. So, the first part's real easy and straightforward, and it uses this arrangement uses a combination of sixths or thirds or tenths, so it's always got an interval with the melody. The first two lines are all with sixths. First time I ever heard sixths was years ago, the Paul Simon arrangement of Bookends theme that goes like. I just fell in love with that sound of sixths. They're so fat, such a beautiful interval. And so this uses mostly sixths, but sometimes thirds, and which would be the sixths are like an inverted third. Third would be those are thirds, and then tenths would be anyway, and you can I have some old exercises. I think they're still on Score Exchange. You can look at them there. I think that's stuff they charge a minimum fee. That's why I got off Score Exchange. But anyway, let's get to this work here. So starting at measure 1, you're on just C chord, but you're playing the first and third string with your first and third fingers respectively, or third and first fingers. Then you lift off on your first and second fingers here from the C chord to the first fret of the first string and the second fret of the third string. Then you got to play a G chord that it's almost like a B7 configuration here. It is a B7 configuration, but you're you have the little finger on the third fret of the second string, and your third finger's on the third fret of the fourth string, and then the two bass notes on the G and the B, and the open first and third. I kind of, the bass movement here, the bass notes in these measures are sort of off the beat to give what I like a feel of kind of continuous motion. And third measure, back to the C. And back to the G. And C. Then to the next line, measure 5, same thing, now with a hammer on. Repeat that hammer on. Now that's when it gets a little trickier, but so you have two open strings there after, in that last measure, the last beat of the last measure of the second line. That would be measure 8. So you have, which gives you time to get your hand up here for a short C chord. It's not a full barred C chord. You'll do that in the next line, but it's just the short form of it. So you're, and you can really try and get that, the melody note, make that, the high note, make it clear. If you can put some vibrato in there, it really helps too. And then you're going to slide on your second finger here. And that's what, I used to have a different fingering on it. I can't remember what it was, but it was bad. And you can make that by using your second finger as your slide and sort of a slide pivot. You can get to the G, and then you slide down on those two, and the E minor. So it makes that real smooth as far as the fingering goes. If you're comfortable, I mean, you have to have a pretty good little finger to play this piece, but so slide down your, so you slide your second finger from the 9th fret to the 2nd fret, or 7th fret, 9th to the 7th, and then put your third finger down on the 7th fret of the first string, and then use your little finger to get the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Then you go into an E minor, so that's an F chord there actually. It looks like a D on the 7th fret, but is that it? No, that's a G. Oh yeah. Oh, there, and then you slide down to the 5th fret. That's your F chord. You slide the 2nd and 3rd fingers down there. That's an F chord, and then you slide down to an E minor chord, which is just like your D minor slid up 2 frets. And then then you slide on your 1st and 4th finger. They're in the position you need for this G7 coming up. Bring your bass note over. And then you get the old bass part that I used to sing in the choir as a young Southern Baptist. So they go, I surrender all. That was the bass part. And then you come back up with your 1st and 2nd fingers now to play this G chord, but you're just going to play 2 notes on it. And then the open bass, then slide down 2 frets to the F, and then slide down using your 2nd and 3rd finger there on the 3rd and 4th strings. Open bass, slide down, hold that note, and then go into a C chord. And the bass, I surrender all. Then you're on down to the last line. So C, G7 over D, and then up to this F chord that I always use. It's a cheating F chord. So that measure 13. So you got to jump on your first finger. Your first finger's got to go from the first fret of the first string to the third fret of the fourth string. And your little finger goes up and catches the fifth fret of the first string. Drop your third finger in on the fifth fret of the third string. And then down to a C over E. Excuse me. Then you've got that open G, but you want to hold these notes as long as possible. And then you come up and you grab the bar on the 8th fret. And all you have to do is grab the bar first. You don't have to get the whole chord down. You're going to play the bass, the 6th string, and the first and second strings. Those are all just barred. So it gives you a moment to get your third finger down on the, and that's a bar on the 7th fret. No, 8th fret. I'm sorry, 8th fret. Then you have a moment to get your third finger down on the 10th fret. Oh, I forgot to change. Oh, shoot. The tablature's wrong there. The notes are right, but I got to change the tablature. I didn't upgrade the tablature in that. I will, yeah. By the time you see this, the tablature will be correct. So there's a 10th fret on the 4th string, and then a 9th fret on the 3rd string. And then and then you do the same kind of thing. Slide on your second finger here to the G, and then slide down to the third. Slide on those thirds down using you're sliding on your third and fourth fingers here. So you have to have a fairly strong little finger to make this work. And if you give that a little vibrato on that, because you're holding that note, you know, you get on a steel string, you get a better vibrato going sideways, but my hand's not strong enough to do that very well with those two fingers, but I can do the classical kind of back and forth this way vibrato. So let's do those two measures, or measure 13 and 14. C, G over D, and then this F. The C over E with the open bass, open third string, and then jump up to a full bar. And then into the G chord, slide down to the third on the F, and then you're home free. C over E, G over B, bass, I surrender all. Now there is a really nice arrangement. It's simpler. It's by Zeno, Z-E-N-O. He does a lot of Christian guitar videos, does some very nice, has nicer videos than me. But he does it in G. So all your melody lines are mostly down here in the first position. So if this is too hard for you to play, look up that Zeno version. The advantage of this one, I think, is it's in the key that you would sing it, or you could put a capo on the 2nd fret and sing it in this if you wanted it in D, but it sings well either in C or D. I can't remember which one it's in the hymnal. But this is a good key for singing. So if you were doing this and your choir is done or the congregation is done and you need to keep it going instrumentally, you're in the same key that you need to be in for singing. So that's one advantage of this arrangement. I think that's all I have to say about this. Look for more arrangements on liturgicalguitarist.com, and I pray God blesses your playing, and I wish you peace.